Hey guys, it's Geekborn. Thank you for choosing my YouTube channel. So, we're gonna start something a little different. Um, we're gonna do a new segment, what I like to call childhood classics. We're gonna talk about some movies you might have watched during your childhood, or other child might have watched during their childhood, that they might have thought was a classic film, or would be a classic eventually. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite childhood movies of all time. But first, take a second, close your eyes. Imagine some of the fun things you would pretend being a kid, like a Power Ranger or a superhero, all different kinds of things you could have been. My favorite thing to pretend to be was a spy, and it's all thanks to this fantastic film, Spy Kids. The first one. Now, I grew up, I enjoyed the second one, and the third one, I watched them a little bit more, but you cannot start talking about the Spy Kids movies without talking about the very first one. So, let's talk about the movie, and, have some fond memories. So, we start the movie, we meet Junie and Carmen Cortez and their mother. Junie, as we can see, has a wart problem. It's because he's scared all the time, got sweaty hands. His sister is the cool older sister. When we first start out, they're being told a bedtime story, about the two spies who fell in love. Now, of course, the kids just think that these are two random spies. Us, watching the film, we get to see that the spies were actually their mother and father when they first met. So, they go along, they tell the story, they have a beautiful wedding scene, they show that, and then, of course, spies are hard to take down, but when you're going to try to take them down, you try to take down as many as a time. So when they're in a large group, like at this wedding, they get attacked. Of course, the mother, father, and everybody else gets away. There doesn't seem to be any casualties. But we know who was part of the wedding, and that the parents were there. The kids will find out eventually how that goes. So the kids go to bed. The parents, we follow them. They say, they're not spies anymore. They're just consultants. And then they hit a couple of buttons and a bunch of spy computers pop out. So we go through and find out what they're really up to. We see the father's working on something. We see a small picture of a brain, a couple of secret agents. But we don't know exactly what's going on with that yet. He lies to his wife, and, we'll just push past that for a second. So the kids wake up, they're doing some exercise training, they're having their breakfast, and then they're off to school. Well, this is where we get to see our first introduction to Floop on Floop's TV show with the fabulous Floop. I'm not sure exactly what the name of the show was, but we get to see the show, some of the creatures. We also find out that another secret agent has gone missing, and Floop says that there's a new character added to the show. He was snooping around the castle late last night. So, I tried to put two and two together. Maybe this is going on, and this is actually a secret agent. But we go through, the kids go to school. Junie keeps getting bullied because of his warts. He gets called the mummy or a mummy because he's got band-aids all over his hands. His father gets out, confronts the bully's father, and then, he has a dream sequence, or like a flash forward fantasy sequence where he is the hero and he throws the villain away and everybody cheers for him and he gets this love and affection he wants from his son. But, it was a fantasy sequence, so it's not actually the case. So we move on while they're at school. Eventually we go and we see Floop. We go to Floop's castle. That's where we meet up with Floop, the guy who's been funding Floop's different experiments. Floop's minion, who is one of the scientists that actually is working on a lot of these experiments. And we get introduced to what Floop has been doing. We find out that these creatures that's on his show were actually these different secret agents, which is kind of odd because Junie has toy versions of these secret agents, so we don't know how long some of these secret agents have been missing, long enough for them to be on a show, get this show about them, have a toy line come out. But we find out there's like 7 secret agents, including one of the ones that just actually went missing this previous night. So that's going on. We see these creature robot things called Thumbs. They're literally a robot made of the human-sized robot made of giant thumbs. Like that's all. That's a head's a thumb, arms are thumbs, feet thumbs, whatever. Weird thumb creatures. Then we see the piece de resistance, or piece of resistance, depending on if you're talking about real life or the Lego movie. So we go through, we see this, and he introduces this robot. The guy is going through, he's like, you got 10 seconds, this thing's going to come out, it's going to attack you, you got to figure out how to defend yourself. So the thing, he prepares himself, doors fly open, he sees this kid, it looks like his kid. So he stops, figures out what's going on. Well, it's a robot made to look like his child. Now, Floop goes through, shows off that he's got hundreds of these things that are just made to look like different people's kids. Foreign leaders and, United States president and, their children and, apparently secret agent children. We'll push past that, see more later. But they're missing one crucial thing. Their brain. Because they are designed to have all the intelligence of every secret agent spy that we've seen. Well, the brain, if you remember, there was a brain that we saw at the beginning of the movie that Junie's father, Antonio Banderas, was working on earlier. So, that'll be more important as the MacGuffin of the film. We'll push past that for just a moment. So, while the kids are at school, they're waiting on their way home, then we find out, well, the leader of the OSS, the secret spy organization, or organization of secret spies, not to be confused with the actual OSS that happened during like World War II and the Cold War. This OSS is led by a guy named Devlin, and he goes through and he calls Antonio Banderas and says, hey, there's spies missing, I need you to come and help. So he doesn't want to help, but these spies are missing, so he decides, you know what, I'll go help him anyway. So he goes out, he tells his wife, wife's like, well, I want to save the world too, we haven't been spies in like 9 years because, kids and whatnot. So he's like, well, we got kids, we can't just, go leave the kids and be spies. Who's going to watch the kids? Well, their uncle, Cheech, from Cheech and Chong fame, his name is Felix in the film. He goes through and he comes over the next morning to watch the children so the parents can go on their super secret mission. He's there watching the kids, helping take care of them. They get through a day fine. The parents are on their way trying to find what's going on. Well, they get led off and off and off into the ocean in their cool SUV submarine type deal. They meet up with a woman, or the woman comes up on their intercom FaceTime thing before FaceTime was a thing, and tells them where they need to go, the coordinates of their mission. They head off. Shortly, they go through, they get another transmission. This one is cut off by a Floop transmission, which has their name, so obviously something is going on. Shortly after that, captured up by Floop himself. Well, the big space, like, submarine type deal, water ship. It's really weird. Blinding light, everybody gets blinded. That happens. Red alert's going off the house immediately. Don't know what's going on. Felix flips out, sees that there's red alerts. He gets the kids ready. Kids don't know anything about spy stuff, so he's going through, grabbing the kids. There's not much time to tell you. Your parents are spies. We got to get going, like, now. So he goes through, grabs some stuff, gets the kids off to the spot, and then he's like, well, I got to grab a couple more things. Let's go. While he's off doing that, they're thumbs in black suits. No way to say that they're anything else. They're big, bulky, black suits just coming at you. The thumb robots in these black suits. It's supposed to be stealth suits. So coming through, he's fighting a whole bunch of those things off. And then, as that's going on, he tells the kids, you gotta go. Push the blue button, push the green button, out. Well, Junie hops in the front, finds the green button, pushes that thing. Carmen's like, yo, you're stupid. You gotta do the right thing in the right order. Gotta find the blue button. You don't know where the blue button's at. Of course, it's in the back because that closes the door. So she pushes that blue button. They're off. Now, this is the second chase scene, if you want to consider that. The first one, when the parents go through and right before they get caught by Floop, there's a small chase scene in there. This one, the kids are off in this circular boat, submarine, secret spy type vehicle, and they're off, and somehow these Thum-Thumbs just got boats. I don't know where they came from. Don't know where they came from. But there's like 4 or 5 boats. They're getting chased. Really intense chase scene. They jump over this guy's fishing boat. The Thum-Thumbs just crash straight through the thing. The guy, bails. He's fine. Presumably. But as they jump over, Junie flies out the front of the boat. He's latching on the front. Carmen's like, yo, you're dumb. What are you doing down there? And he's like, yo, sis, I didn't do it on purpose. Just help brother out. So she helps him. He goes back in. Of course, before that, he knocked it into manual. Then he puts it back in autopilot by accident when he gets back in the thing. Because, kids doing stuff. Then it's a secret spy, boat. So it senses that they're getting close to this cliff. And then it just dives underwater. Goes through all these tunnels. They're safe from the Thum bandits, whatever, that are coming after them. So they go through. They're flying away, or they're, going away. It's going to be the 2 longest hour trip ever. Because it's like, yo, you got like 2 hours until you get to your destination. Of course, it's still early in the morning, but they get a snack. Junie goes to the bathroom. They both fall asleep, take a nap. They do a lot of stuff in this short period of time when they're on their way to the safe house. So they go to the safe house, and apparently it seems like it might have been where their parents had a honeymoon, or it's where it's just a secret spy base that they have, but it's got a lot of their family stuff in there. As they go through, Carmen gets there. She opens up all the doors and the cupboards, and there's no food, and then, of course, shuts them, and then you hear a noise. What? It's a spy house. Bam! All kinds of fresh food. She goes through, she finds a freaking microwave-looking deal, but it's a rehydrating machine, kind of like Back to the Future 2's pizza rehydrator, but she takes a little tiny packet, looks like a foil packet that a little bit smaller than a bag of popcorn. She puts that thing in there, and bam! It materializes a tray, and a Big Mac, and a large fry. Now, obviously, kids movie, spy logic, movie logic, that's not going to happen. But, cool. She goes through. Junie's over there crying about parents, never knowing if they're going to see him again. The woman that the parents were talking to on their intercom, she shows up at the house. And she's like, hey, I work with your parents. You guys should, be cool with me and all these random people that are just popping in because, we work together. So they go through. Felix told the kids that the third brain lives. That was the name of the project. The brain, little tiny brain thing was, created from. It was a big project that the spy organization had together. So she goes through. She says, hey, I was told to tell the OSS. You're the OSS. I got to tell you, the third brain lives. So she's like, yo, guys, we couldn't find it at the house. It's got to be here. And everybody's like, wait, what's going on? And then you got some Thum-Thumbs coming in. Turns out she's working with Floop, even though you're probably not supposed to know that those are Thum-Thumbs, even though it's super hard not to tell that they're Thum-Thumbs. So she goes through. She's with them. The kids find these jetpacks. They go through. Everybody gets out on the jetpack except for Junie, because, he's Junie. So they have another intense chase sequence going on with Carmen flying around with all these Thum-Thumbs flying after her, and then she goes through, she catches Junie, more intense chase sequence, okay, past that, they get away again, because of course they is. Then they go through, they either buy or steal some clothes, because they got a crap ton of money when they were at the safe house, because they had money from every country, because it's a spy space, why wouldn't it? So you go through, we do that. Now the kids got clothes, they're going off, they're trying to figure out where their parents are. Well, meanwhile, Floop goes through, he sends versions of Junie and Carmen, robot versions, to go fight the real versions, to go through, separate them, and try to figure out how to create get the third brain, because Junie and Carmen have it. So this kind of works. They get separated because they're arguing with each other. Carmen meets up with Junie. Junie meets up with Carmen. One not a robot, one a robot. Both situations. So we go through. They meet up. Carmen goes through. Junie, you got the third brain. You got to destroy that thing because it's bad. We also find out during that time that Floop specifically got Antonio Banderas, Gregorio, the father, Mr. Cortez, the spy man, because he was also part of this secret project where the third brain. So we go through, he tells the backstory of the third brain, but all of them were destroyed. He will not help Floop. Then that's why everybody else got turned into the mutated Fooglies that are on Floop's show, because they also denied helping Floop. So they get captured, go through, when they're in their, while the parents are captured, they go through, they escape, it takes like 15 minutes, and then they find Floop, and then they have dinner with him, and we find out about the third brain. The third brain lives. So then the robots are sent out, like I said, and then they have the situation with Carmen and Junie. Junie tries to destroy the brain. I think they actually get off with the brain. So they go off with the brain, so we have to go through, and now they have to find a way to save their mom and father. Well, they've been going through, and they have machete technology, but they also have a picture that they found from the wedding, which was Hombre and Machete. Hombre is their father's code name, presumably, and Machete would obviously be the name of the other man in the photo. So they figure out that the machete that was at the wedding was the same machete that goes through and makes all the technology. So they track down Machete, go to his place, Danny Trejo, Machete of, well, now Machete fame, because all of his movies are semi-canon to the Spy Kids movies, because he's still playing the same character technically. So we find him at his workshop where he makes all the technology, find all the different technology that he's been working on. He doesn't want to help the kids because he doesn't talk to his father anymore, but they are Cortez children, so, they're family. He will help them. As this goes on, he goes through, gives them dinner, place to sleep, shows them that he has a ship that's a one-person ship, adult-sized person, plane jet thing that could get them to Floop's castle. And he's been working on stuff for Floop, and he has a map of Floop's castle that the kids would need. So we go through, they're asleep, he's asleep, they wake up, they take a bunch of his tech and grab the map from him, fly off to save their parents. Now, at this point in the film, the parents are recaptured and chained up, waiting to figure out what's going to happen. The third brain is being reproduced because they have the third brain now at Floop's castle. And Minion has taken over. He is no longer Minion. We also find out that Minion was with the woman that was helping the Cortezes and was part of the OSS, because he was also part of the third brain project, but he was not a big enough part of the project to create the third brain on his own. He needed someone else part of the project to help them, or help him reproduce the brain. But Antonio Banderas was supposed to destroy his brain, but did not. And that's how there was another brain, why the third brain lives, and why they could find another brain to put into these spy kids, as Floop called them. Now, Floop was trapped in his virtual reality room. The kids go through, they break into the castle, they get, Junie's putting up cameras all over the place, they have electroshock gum, good for taking out thumbs, good for taking out other electronic stuff. So the kids, they split up. Carmen goes to find the parents. Junie ends up getting in, finding Floop. And Junie eventually goes through, finds Floop, realizes that Floop didn't want to do all this bad stuff. Really, now at this point, he just wants to focus on his child show. So Junie helps Floop escape from the virtual reality room that he's locked in. And then, after that, they go through, team up with Carmen. They eventually get the parents. The parents break out. And the plot still set in motion. The third brain is being put into all these robots. Floop goes through and he realizes you got to find something to do. You have to stop these kids, these robot children, from taking over the world. So he finds a way to cause a binary switch in the children, almost. That he realizes he needs to put a binary switch in the children to realize that they need to know right from wrong and not think wrong is right and right is wrong, but right is right and wrong is wrong. Bam. So he goes through the spy kids, the actual spy kids, Carmen and Junie, meet up with their parents, and they're about to face off against 500 robots. And Antonio Banderas is like, okay, you take 100 there, you take 100 there, I'll take 100 here, you take 100 there. Junie's like, whoa, but there's 500. We can't just take on 100 each. We need one more person. And one more person decides they want to show up. And Machete breaks through the window, rolls out, and then immediately, right before the fight's about to happen, binary switch. Floop figures out how to teach the kids right from wrong, and the day is kind of saved. The robots go through, they end up playing with the villains, throwing them up in the air, showing what's wrong, how bad they were, the huge. But after Floop goes through, we find out that, the whole thing was about family. Is Carmen and Junie became closer because they weren't very close. Carmen was always worried that she's got to go through and watch over Junie because Junie's just a little kid. But, now they've grown up a little bit. They've learned a little bit, gone on their adventure. Floop's actually a good person, becomes part of their extended family. And we go on. Now we're back to the house. Machete and Antonio had, fixed their bond. The kids, love their family more than ever, glad to save their parents, love each other, awesome. Now they get a call. Devlin's calling. Hey, we have a mission for the two best field agents that we've ever seen. And then the parents are like, yo, we haven't talked to the kids yet about us doing spy stuff again. And he's like, and George Clooney's like, no, not you guys. I'm talking about the children. Yeah, Devlin is George Clooney. Of course, we don't know that until the very end of the movie. There's so many celebrities in this movie, it's kind of ridiculous. So, go through, and they say, kids go through and tell Devlin, yo, if we're going to do anything, we're doing it together as a family. Fast and the Furious, Vin Diesel style. So, we learn that family conquers all. So, I enjoy this movie so much. The kids actually act really well for child actors. Obviously, that's why they got 3 movies on this deal. Danny Trejo's character, 2 spin-offs of his own, Machete and Machete Kills. Spy Kids as a whole is just, it's amazing. It really, really drives home the family aspect, shows you how much family can mean, and how fun it could be to be a spy kid. But I think that's it for this one. Tune in next time for another childhood classics. And remember, some of us are just born geeky. Have a good one.